Hello and welcome, fellow Marvel fans, to the Snark Industries podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Remy.
And we invite you to join us as we work our way through every Marvel TV show, movie, and crossover, meaning if there's a Marvel character on screen, it's fair game. All categorized in the temporal order of their setting. By the time we're done, we'll have built a complete start-to-finish timeline of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. To accomplish this goal and to have a bit of fun along the way, each episode will be split into two parts, the Watch Party and the Deep Dive. If you're hearing this, you found one of our deep dives. This is where we slow things down and take a more pragmatic, in-depth look at a piece of Marvel media. We'll walk through the full plot, explore connections to the wider MCU and Marvel Comics, highlight Easter eggs, unpack lore, and of course, give you our own personal thoughts and feelings. Although this episode stands on its own, it is designed to complement the Watch Party. So, if you haven't watched along with us yet, we highly recommend starting there first and coming back here for the full breakdown. Most importantly, we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on this incredible journey. We're not affiliated with Marvel in any way, shape, or form. We're just fans who are passionate about these stories and these characters and wish to share them with everyone in a new and exciting way. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Snark Industries.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Snark Industries Deep Dive. We just got finished watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, Episode 2, which takes place in 1931. John, why don't you go ahead and tell us what that was about?
All right. So we get the conclusion to Episode 1, as this was kind of a two-parter blast to the past for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Kind of left on a cliffhanger before, but we get some somewhat satisfying resolution here, I would say. So we follow along as everything is sort of unraveling. We have Freddy, Mac, and Deke sort of separating themselves from the rest of the group as they are there to sort of help him or hinder him as this thing kind of changes with his delivery of what's going on. Yeah. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang try to fix up the woman who was shot in the previous episode, who had given these vials to Freddy to deliver. And we see very quickly that these vials, as he tries to hide one in a bottle of booze that is called Giggle Juice, which is still hilarious to me, that these vials already prominently display the symbol of Hydra.
Branding right off the rip. As this all sort of happens, they're working on her. The Comicrons come in and sort of shake down the speakeasy, and everyone is able to hide well enough. Mm-hmm. Patton Oswalt's character, Ernest, is able to talk his way out of it. A little surgery that was done on his bar as a blood-covered bullet was in a shot glass for some reason. He was able to drink and hide the evidence of, and the rest of them were in a hidden room behind a picture that you could peek through. Scooby-Doo style.
Exactly. All while the other three are on a train moving towards the final destination of wherever this delivery is going to take place. Back on the ship, we have May, who is now awake and eager to get into the field. Enoch, who is trying to stop her. We have a fight scene with them. The other agents, in an attempt to try to get back to Freddy and the delivery first, talk Ernest into helping them. And they blindfold him for some reason to take him to an invisible ship, which is going to fly away and be gone from this timeline anyway very shortly.
Can't let him know where it is, though.
Exactly. And as they pull in, they come in on this fight that's happening between May and Enoch, stopping it from continuing as Enoch was getting his head bashed in with a fire extinguisher. They load up, fly out, and as they're doing so, these walkie-talkies that are finally starting to come back online from, I suppose, being damaged or perhaps just a part of being in the past and not working exactly as they should. We have Daisy, who tries to convince Deke to go ahead and shoot Freddy then and kill him, even though the whole idea...
Yeah, dude, that was wild.
Right. And almost borderline, dare I say, evil.
Yeah.
You know, definitely on the lower end of good. If we try to say, well, you're doing it. It's the baby Hitler thing, right? You're doing it to save lives. Okay. But you're killing a guy that's not yet done
chaotic
anything.
Good.
Yeah. It's tough. So she tells him to do so. And he points the gun at Freddy and gets ready to pull the trigger and says he's doing it under orders, which he says to the director, Mac, standing right beside him, which is also just really crazy. But ultimately, ultimately doesn't pull the trigger, therefore kind of preserving the timeline with that decision.
The Chromicons turn up and a firefight kind of ensues between all of them. Everyone kind of splits up to find Freddy, so he's not able to make this delivery and he's not able to continue on doing things. Ultimately, he's found by Ernest, who lays his gun on the ground and says, hey, you're a lot of things, but you're not a killer, and then immediately gets shot. Not fatally, but Freddy does pull the trigger and then adopts the evil walk that everyone can really instantly recognize, the bad guy walk, as he gets into the car with a nameless, faceless figure, and they drive off. All of this is happening while a clock is ticking down to where they're going to be effectively forcefully exfilled from this timeline. So, after all this ensues, the Chromicons decide, we failed, Freddy's alive, S.H.I.E.L.D's going to be formed, Hydra's going to be formed, let's just get out of here. All the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. start jetting back to the thing, and ultimately all are able to get there safely, minus Enoch, who misses it by only a few seconds, and then goes and gets hired by Ernest back at the speakeasy to be a bartender, and theoretically will then sit and be a robot through time, and eventually will link back up with the agents.
He's taking the long road.
100 years later or whatever. So,
oof.
That's the breakdown. The timeline has been preserved. Freddy lives, thus Hydra's formed, thus S.H.I.E.L.D. is formed, thus all of these events can take place. So luckily, it seems, minus the maybe problematic leaving Enoch in the past, the timeline here has been preserved, even though they were mucking about with time travel, which is always a dangerous game, which we discussed in previous episodes. I think they did a good job here of not overly stepping on the toes of how the timeline stuff should work.
Yeah, agreed.
So, tie-ins into the MCU, obviously, and as we're approaching a very big Nexus event with the creation of Captain America, all this sort of stems from that, I would say. Hydra, S.H.I.E.L.D., the Super Soldier Serum, all of this is sort of allowed to happen from these events, transpiring as if they're supposed to, or as they are supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the tie-in, and I think that, ultimately, funny enough, the agents could have just, I guess with the Chromicons there, they had to intervene in some point, or otherwise the Chromicons would have succeeded and thus messed up said timeline. So, right. A fun episode.
They'd have gone the Daisy route.
Correct, yeah. A fun way to kind of do it, ultimately, while keeping the timeline the way it should be, as almost as if none of them were ever there, minus the introduction of technology to this Ernest Koenig character, which you spoke on a little bit about in the watch party about how his family ties into stuff later. And I actually didn't know that myself, as I've not seen more than the first couple of seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before I just burned out on it a little bit.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And I said it may be a problematic thing of leaving a super advanced robot.
I do want to address that when we get into our thoughts, because I actually kind of love that they did that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Hey, that's what we're here for. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
Art is meant to be that way and how it's consumed, and this is certainly art. So, I don't think it's a major problem. I think that they can sort of live and do, without it causing any major issues to what is ultimately the sacred timeline. Still interesting, though. It looks like maybe a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe. I almost in timelines, and they don't really do this a lot in Marvel, but other things do touch on it with it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like the Koenig family is big onto that stuff. The robots were there because they always went back in time and always did that. That was always part of it. So I don't know if that's what they were going for there, but I like that how that fits with a nice, neat little bow on it.
Yeah, likewise.
But yeah, so and they talked about more tie-ins. Like I said, obviously everything overarching, but they did talk specifically about Erskine, about the Super Soldier Serum, about the Red Skull and everything. So we do get to see all of those things sort of, which is direct tie-ins to a major event in all of Marvel Comics. So I would say overall, those are the tie-ins that I see. Why don't we jump over and talk a little bit about how it ties into comic books?
Yeah. First, we're going to address the universe. Obviously, you have mentioned a number of times the sacred timeline, which, of course, this is part of Earth 19999. Or if you want to listen to Doctor Strange, it's 616, which is wrong. But it is part of the main Marvel universe. I'm going to hammer on that. I hate it.
You are. Yeah.
It is part of the main Marvel universe, which, as you said, has some big implications for what's to come. And as far as comic tie-ins, as mentioned, it's got the Red Skull. It's got, the Super Soldier Serum. There's all kinds of stuff being built in that we're going to see in future episodes, TV shows, movies, everything like that. But the Super Soldier Serum is absolutely massive. That is, of course, the biggest tie-in because that is the kickoff to the entire hero age that Marvel has. Beyond that, though, we do have, similar to the previous episodes, because this is the continuation of the previous episode, but we have references to the Secret Warriors run from 2009 to 2011 by Jonathan Hickman, which is where the Malick family was first introduced. So this is where we got the origin of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is where we got the origin, well, really the origin of Hydra, which then produced the origin of S.H.I.E.L.D. and yada, yada, et cetera, basically what they were preserving this entire episode. And of course, we've got the LMDs, the life model decoys, which currently Coulson is. So beyond that, not a ton of direct pulls from the comics, but that's what I found. And as far as Easter eggs are concerned, again, mentions of Schmidt, mentions of the skull, mentions of all the things that we're going to be seeing over the next God, that's going to be a big chunk of our watching experience is the Captain America era. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
So overall, what were your thoughts?
I liked it. I thought it was a satisfying ending to this little venture into the past. It was cool to see some of the sort of tropes that we talked about in the watch party.
Oh my God,
the Tommy guns, the Prohibition era and kind of all that working. The tie-ins to, let's say, big time events, which we discussed sort of in the MCU and comic tie-ins with Super Soldier, with S.H.I.E.L.D., with Hydra. I think that it was a kind of a fun way to see some of those origins without having a dedicated movie, TV show, whatever, to that era to get a little taste of that.
A couple episodes did it just fine.
A couple episodes just to show you kind of how it all started forming up, because I think that everyone is super familiar with kind of what happens next. So it was kind of fun to see that. Overall, I can give my thoughts as this as a two-part. I almost consider this one single episode.
Sure.
Just because it was a direct continuation and closure to this arc. I really liked it. I thought it was fun, even having missed several seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before this one, which we'll get to eventually. And I look forward to doing that and catching up on all of it. But even just as a standalone, of course, there was some nuance there that I'm sure that I missed about some of the characters as I've, not gotten all those details. But even so, even as a standalone, if this was just a two-part miniseries with these characters in it, I think you could follow along just fine. I think it makes sense, and I think it's entertaining. So yeah, definitely worth a watch, I would say.
Yeah, 100% agree. The things that I really, really enjoyed about this episode were actually the fact that they left Enoch behind with Patton Oswalt's character. What is his name?
Ernest Koenig. Koenig? I don't know how to pronounce it.
That's right, Koenig. So I love the fact that they left Enoch behind with Koenig, because the Koenig family becomes such an embedded part of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the future, which, again, you didn't know, but you will find out as S.H.I.E.L.D. goes on. You will meet many Koenigs, which is really fun to have introduced their forerunner, essentially, in this time. And the fact that he was left with an android to teach him all these things, to really ingrain him in the tech, and he wants to learn everything about robots at the end and I love that. That sets up so beautifully for why this character and this family is so embedded in the future. It's a fantastic little way to just write him off. And this is the way that a time travel episode should be done, or a time travel story should be done, because they didn't change anything. They didn't futz with anything. All they did was give us context and a fun adventure to go along with it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And I enjoyed it. And like John, I highly, highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun, even if you don't have the built-in backgrounds of the characters. Like, we don't know why it was such a big deal that the gal, again, I don't remember her name because I'm not super plugged into the S.H.I.E.L.D. team at this point, but the gal that let the wine bottle drop. Daisy seems to think that she could have stopped it.
Yeah, I believe that's Yo-Yo.
We don't know this characters. Yo-Yo. Okay, thank you. We don't know these characters as well as we would have we watched the previous 6 seasons, of course. So we don't know if that character has some trauma built in. So there's of course things that we're missing watching it this way. But even with that, highly recommended.
Yeah, for sure.
But fun stuff. And we are about to roll into Captain America next, which I am super, super excited about. One of my all-time favorite Marvel movies. So we're looking forward to it.
As we break it down, our first Nexus event in the formation of Cap.
Yeah.
More to come on that soon.
Yep. With that, folks, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening and coming along with us on this journey.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Snark Industries podcast. To join the conversation and further explore the Marvel Cinematic Universe with us, head on over to snarkindustriespod.com. The link will be in the show notes. But with that, we will see you in the next adventure.
What's up with that belly, though?